these are the measures of success for us for 2016. Let's talk about them for a minute. Patient satisfaction, 75th percentile for all facilities. We were green on patient satisfaction across all of the regions. So we hit that one. Associate satisfaction, top quartile. We didn't hit that one. We had some regions and some individual institutions that did outstanding work, but we have others who have a little bit to go. Physician satisfaction. We said we wanted an improvement of 5 to 7 percentile points, and we were actually strong green there. Our score was 83 percentile versus 71 is the target. So we blew it away. And as I mentioned earlier, we said we wanted a net operating income of $68 million, and we hit 72. We also had these three. We said we want an Imperial Health partnership formalized. And we are on the last stages of, we believe, the first steps to formalize that process with a partnership on the surgery center and the purchase of 14 acres of land on the Imperial campus. And I have to tell you that you should give Don Lloyd a round of applause because he's lost at least 30,000 hours of sleep working on that project. So how about a round of applause for that? Some days I don't think he thinks anything else exists except for Imperial because he's worked so hard. We said on Mid-County we wanted the strategy implemented. And in fact, we've got way down the road on implementing the strategy in Mid-County for Southeast Texas. The construction has begun. A number of the activities that we said we were going to implement are underway. We will open that facility in March. Paul, is that right? Late February, early March of next year. So we're there. And then successful implementation of MSSP. We actually stood up our ACO effective January the 1st of this year. We have about 15,000 attributed lives to that ACO, to that MSSP. We have almost 400 physicians who have signed up to participate with us across the state of Louisiana for our ACO. So we did exactly what we said we wanted to do. And then we had three others that we said we wanted to accomplish. We said, number one, we wanted to complete the Highland campus. We're on actually the final wrap-up stages of that. We've moved in. We're celebrating that new space. We're busy. And we said we wanted the Bossier development to move forward. We have the contractor selected. We have that activity underway. Construction will soon begin. So that's been approved by the Christus Board. It's been funded. So all the things that we needed to do have been done. And then we said we wanted no reds on campus. If we go back, we had 5 or 6 or 7 reds a year ago as a group. This year, when we ended the year, we had 3. So great improvement, outstanding improvement. But we were down to 3. So you're going to see that one again. Just so you know, you'll see that one again. All right. And then I also did one other thing, right? I gave you 5 things that I wanted you to do as leaders. Celebrate wins. 2 ideas every leader every month. 70% utilization of kudo points. Exceed your budget and face 1 fear. I also sent a letter out to all of you about maybe 60 days ago, and I challenged the leaders of the hospitals to make sure that you guys, when you do your evaluations, have a conversation about these 5 things and how successful you were. There's others that they're including, obviously, in that conversation, but I'm asking and reminding you to make sure that you include these 5. And I'll give you a new 5 at the end of the conversation today. So, we're not finished celebrating quite yet. You saw yesterday in the bronze and the silver and the gold awards that some hospitals got recognized more often than others. That some hospitals had done a little bit better than everyone else had done. That some hospitals really set the bar not only for us as an operations group, but also for Christus. I'm going to ask Isaac and Charlotte and Bill and Eric and Dr. Johnson to come forward, please. I'm also going to ask Dr. Stratton to join them. Michael? Michael is the Chief of Staff at Highland. Do you have your song prepared? Isaac's leading. All right, guys. These are the gold winners. These are the medal winners. NLA won more medals and had a higher achievement than anyone else. They set the bar, as I said, not only for our operations group, but in sincerity, more importantly, for all of Christus. And I have a special gift for each of you. And it's Waterford, so don't drop it. In recognition of your hard work. That's fine. Congratulations. No, I don't need you to talk. It's okay. Thanks. Great. Eric just joined the team. He's thinking, this is great. One last round of applause. These guys did a fabulous job. They deserve it. We're going to transition from celebration to where we want to go in the future. And it just wouldn't be a talk if I didn't talk about football and maybe a few LSU jokes, right? So let's talk about football for just a minute. There were 4 good buddies, and they were all fans of a different college football team. One was an Alabama fan, one was a Georgia Bulldogs fan, one was a Tennessee Vol fan, and one was an LSU fan. And these guys got together for a guys' trip, and they were going to climb this mountain. And as they were climbing the mountain, they began to get in a debate about which one of them was the bigger fan. Which one of them really cared for their school and their team more than the other 3 did out of the group. And so this argument pursued as they continued up the mountain. And finally, they got to the top of the mountain, and they were continuing this argument. And finally, the guy from University of Tennessee, the Vol fan, jumps off the mountain and says, "This is for all volunteers. This is for all the Vols." Then the Georgia Bulldog fan does the same thing. He jumps off the mountain. He said, "Go Dogs. This shows my commitment to all Bulldog fans." Then the Alabama guy walks up and peeks over to look where those guys went. And the LSU fan pushes the Alabama fan off. And the LSU fan said, "This is for everybody else in the world." Santa Claus, Tooth Fairy, a classy Longhorn fan, and an LSU fan were walking down the street one day, and they were all 4 together, and they were walking down the street. And there was a $20 bill on the ground. And the LSU fan picked up the $20 bill. Now the question is, why did the LSU fan get the $20 bill? Because the others are really just a fantasy. There's some Longhorn fans in this room, I know. Here's the last story. I heard this the other day. It was an Alabama fan, big Alabama fan, and he happened to be in Baton Rouge, and he couldn't get tickets to the ball game, but he wanted to go to one of the local bars and watch the ball game. And so it was the Alabama-LSU game, and so he dresses up his dog to look like an Alabama fan. You know, small dog, puts a costume on the dog, and he goes into the bar, and the guy says, "You can't have the dog in the bar." He said, "Come on, I need to watch the game. I can't watch the game anywhere else. I couldn't, get tickets. I want to watch the game." Finally, they go back and forth, and he says, "All right, you and the dog can stay in the bar and watch the game." So he's up at the bar, and they're watching the game. The kickoff goes. Alabama receives the kickoff. Alabama marches down the field and ends up getting stopped on about the 25-yard line, and they kick a field goal. And when they kick a field goal, the dog gets up on the bar on its hind legs and just going down the bar, high-fiving everybody that was at the bar. And the bartender finally looks at the guy and he says, "Well, what does he do when he makes a touchdown? When they make a touchdown?" He says, "Well, I've only had the dog for 3 years and I hadn't seen that yet." So if you are a Alabama fan, I'm sorry. Change the subject completely. Watch this for just a moment.
And the winter comes for a dime break. Still ain't something to be alone. Couple of days, we'll move this herd across the river, right through the valley. There's nothing like breaking in a herd.
See, now that's great. Your life makes sense to you. What's so funny?
You city folk, you worry a lot.
I'm just saying.
How old are you? 38.
39.
Yeah. You all come up here with the same name, same problems. Spend about 50 weeks a year getting knots in your rope.